sit down, sit down. Thank you, Tracy, for that wonderful introduction. You don't need to stand up, you didn't need to clap. I'm actually following Simon Weston. How amazing was he? So I've got a really hard act to follow. It's not going to be anything amazing like that. The focus on my talk is workplace mental health. What to look out for, where to signpost. So have I got any employers in the room? Any managers in the room? Wellbeing officers? Yes, okay, so you're my target audience. So I'm going to start with a bit of participation from you guys as well. But before I do that, let's start with some mental health facts. So why are we here? Why did I set up the show? Because poor mental health is the next pandemic after COVID. COVID changed the world, and from COVID became the financial crisis and the cost of living crisis, and people's anxiety went through the roof, suicide rates went up. In fact, suicide is now the biggest killer for men aged 49 and under. Suicide is taking one farmer a week, one NHS nurse a week, 10 construction workers a week, one vet a week. It's phenomenal. Someone in the UK is dying by suicide every 90 seconds. So I thought we can't sit back and watch all this continue. We need to educate people. So Tracy is right. I run a training company. I run a judo. And I do teach first aid. I've been teaching first aid for 30 years. It's my passion. I love educating people to save lives. But another passion of mine is educating people around mental health and well-being, because we need to help each other break down stigma and stop people being so judgmental. Show empathy. And if everybody had the same mindset as we have, that I have, and you guys, you're the educated, by the way, because you're here today. It's the people that's not here today because they don't see this as an important subject are the people that we need to educate. So some stats around mental health. 70 million working days per year are lost to poor mental illness. That's phenomenal, isn't it? 70 million days. The stats get worse than that, by the way. 1 in 6 people experience poor mental health in the workplace. I don't believe that's correct. 1 in 4 is the stat you probably all know about. Not everybody's got a job, so that's why they say 1 in 6 in the workplace. But that's only the people who actually come forward and say, I've got poor mental health or I've got poor mental illness. There's a lot of silent sufferers in the workplace that's not in those statistics. Most people will not know what to do when faced with a mental health issue at work. I'm out to create mental health champions. I want people to know what to do. I want people to know what to say. If someone comes to you in the workplace and they said, I'm feeling suicidal, would you know what to say to them? I want to create a Wales, a nation full of mental health champions. And that's one of the reasons I've done this show, and I've created the quality mark, and I've got a mental health champion program. Under the Health and Safety at Work Act 1974, that's as nearly as old as me, that act, an employer has a responsibility to protect the health and safety and well-being of their employers. We need to do it. It's legislation. We're not doing it. Stress and ill mental health costs UK businesses £30 billion and the economy £70 billion each year in terms of loss of productivity and illness. That's a phenomenal rate. Can you imagine if we had a workplace full of kind people, empathetic people, and a happy workplace? We would earn more money because the sickness rates would go down. More people would be in work. We'd have a happy workforce. Those numbers don't need to be costing the UK £70 billion per year in loss of productivity and absence. So, some causes of mental health. This is where I'm going to throw it to you guys, and I'm going to ask you to shout it to me. What do you know causes poor mental health? Just shout. See if it's matching up with my screen. Workload, yes. Workload, that's on my screen. Anyone else?
Caring responsibilities.
Caring responsibilities, yes, definitely. Lack of training and education, that's what I'm all about, yes. Anyone else? Bullying in the workplace, yes, it gets thrown under a carpet sometimes because it's more stressful to deal with it, easier to ignore it. Anyone else? Trauma, yep, we have a lot of trauma in our lives, and we're sometimes in a workplace where we feel we can't talk about it. Anything else?
Poor leadership.
Poor leadership. Again, the education needs to start from the top down, and that's starting with government all the way down to the grassroots. We need to employ our managers and our employers. Not employ, educate, you knew what I meant. Yes, so some of the things I've got, overworking. We're all busy. We're all pushed in front of our laptops, and we don't take enough time out for self-care. We don't allow us to fill our glasses. We're running on empty. They're half full, half empty. They should be half full, 3/4 full. Taking workload. Someone just mentioned workload. Caring for other people. That was mentioned as well. Trauma. That was mentioned. Are you sure you haven't seen my slides, guys? Bullying, that was mentioned as well. Having a baby. A lot of women don't get enough support going back to work after having a baby. Work-related accidents, even personal accidents. You could be a sportsman or woman and then your life has changed because you've had an accident. And that would affect your mental health. Bereavement, we've all suffered bereavement in some parts of our life. That will have an effect on you. Work pressures, excessive workloads, office politics, relationships, separation, divorce, money worries, job instability, abuse, mental or physical, injury to you or a loved one. These are all causes of poor mental health. So you don't need to have a mental illness to not function fully. You could have one of these traumatic experiences in your life, and then you could have a bad bout of depression. Now, depression is not going into work and having a bad day. Depression is diagnosed depression is when you're feeling ill or low mood for 2 weeks or longer, and you can't snap out of it, and you've tried. So we all have an off day, but some of these can take us to a long period of depression. So we can't help people in the workplace unless we know what we're looking for. So I've got some signs. Now I've broken it down into physical, emotional and behavioural, because we want to help everyone. Yes, you here because you want to help people? So unless you can see the signs and symptoms, you're not going to be able to help people. So let's look at the physical signs. Again, I'm going to throw it out to you. What physical signs of poor mental health do you think you see in your work colleagues?
Not washing.
Not washing.
Weight loss
Weight loss
and gain.
or weight gain, so overeating, undereating. Poor concentration, yes, definitely.
Drop in performance.
Poor performance.
Or
A dropping in your performance. So students could drop their grades, drop your performance if you're in the workplace.
Withdrawal.
Pardon?
Withdrawal.
Withdrawal. Lady at the back? Headaches and migraines. Yeah, there's too much going on in here. General sickness. A lot of people won't say I'm going on the sick because of poor mental health, because stigma won't allow them to. But if their sickness is quite frequent and their headaches are quite frequent, or their backaches come back every couple of weeks, then it probably isn't their heads or their backs, it's probably their mental health.
Sorry, I thought another aggression.
Aggression, yes, we get frustrated. We get frustrated with ourselves and frustrated with others. Okay, let's see what I've got. So weight changes, we mentioned, we would take it out on food because it's something we can control. So they may overeat, they may undereat. Headaches, we've said, there's too much going on in your mind. Stomach upsets, because when your mind is not right, it will come out in your body. You could get, diarrhea and stomach cramps, indigestion, tiredness, we've said. Panic attacks are very common when you get overwhelmed in work. Panic attacks are obviously a form of anxiety, which is a physical sign that your mental health is declining. High blood pressure. Now, this is one that a lot of people ignore. I had a friend who was really stressed in work. His boss was making him do a stupid amount of hours, and he felt the pressure, and his hair started falling out. He went to the doctor, And the doctor said, you are lucky it was your hair, because if it wasn't your hair, it would have been your heart. So he had stress-related alopecia. Don't think that one's on you, but that is another sign. Heart disease as well. You know, heart disease is from high blood pressure. Mental health can have effect on you. So we're all people pleasers. We're all trying to please other people. We need to please ourselves because we don't want to be showing physical signs of poor mental health. Make sure you put your oxygen mask on first before you look at others and before you help others. Because we're all people pleasers. I'm a people pleaser. I love helping people, but I've learned that I've got to help myself, because if my batteries aren't fully charged, then I'm no good to my staff. So look after yourself is a message I want you to leave here. Changes in appetite as well. So they're just the physical signs. We're going to go on to, please do take a photo if you want to. We're going to go on to emotional signs. So what emotional signs can we see in the workplace that will indicate that our work colleagues may have been suffering with poor mental health? Anyone?
Short-tempered.
Short-tempered, yes. Anything else?
Confusion.
Confusion.
Argumentative.
Argumentative. Forgetfulness.
Anger.
Crying.
Anger.
Anger, they're all on my list. So difficulty retaining new information, feeling down, depressed, feeling anxious, feeling irritable, feeling tearful, emotional, struggling to concentrate, agitated, irritable. So they're all our emotional signs. I'm going to end with the behavioural signs. So how are people going to behave now if they have poor mental health in the workplace? What behaviour can you think you can see?
Agitation.
Agitation? Quiet, withdrawn, yes, definitely. Less productive. Going on the sick, yes. Saying they got headaches and that's why they're on the sick. So they're going to have difficulty in sleeping, so their punctuality might change because they can't sleep at night. So they might be late for meetings, late for work. Changes in eating pattern, we've said. Becoming withdrawn. You might have social gatherings after work and they turn you down for coffee, they turn you down to go out for a pint when they normally do on a Friday. So changes in their normal patterns. Avoiding social gatherings. Drinking more alcohol. A lot of people turn to alcohol as a fix, but the only winner is the alcohol, because obviously the highs will get shorter and the lows will get longer. Smoking and taking drugs. Again, people get addictive to coping mechanisms, which are drugs, alcohol, smoking. Becoming more aggressive, we said, socially withdrawn. Hard to engage in conversation. You might try and have a conversation. They could be usually chatty and now all of a sudden they don't want to talk to anyone. Or they could go the opposite. They could be over-talkative, trying to cover up their anxiety. Their caffeine intake might increase. They might be reliant on caffeine to get through the day. They might start missing deadlines, overworking, and changing in their confidence. They may lose confidence. You could have a senior manager who full of confidence and a born natural leader, and all of a sudden haven't got confidence. If I had poor mental health, I wouldn't have the confidence to stand on the stage and talk to you guys today. So thinking your self-worth is, I'm not good enough. That is a behavioural sign. So I want to talk about this mental health continuum. Is there any mental health first aiders in the room? You've probably seen this. We teach this on the mental health first aid course, and it's very good. Now, just because I just want to talk you through this very quickly. Just because you have good mental health, you're not guaranteed to always have good mental health. And by the way, good mental health is the top left-hand corner. You could have a diagnosed condition and you could have poor mental health, but you're still in the bottom corner. You could have a diagnosed condition and have good mental health, but you're taking medication, so you're in the top right. So this is our continuum. We all want to be in the top two quadrants. Whether you've got a mental health condition that's diagnosed and you're on medication, or you've got coping mechanisms, or you have breath work or other strategies. I can see we've got our owner of New Calm. His app is a brilliant coping strategy here. So you could put coping strategies in place to cope with your mental health and be in a good place on a daily basis. You could have no mental health and no diagnosis. If you're on the bottom quadrant, then you need to do something about it. We want everybody in our workplace to be on the top 2 quadrants. So this is a continuum that everybody sits on. And I just wanted to talk through that very quickly. I've got a quick video. I'm going to have to get down and press play. And this just shows, hopefully not some more now, but years ago, how the workplace perceived mental health and mental illness.
Well, you've certainly got the skills, and if you join us, we'll take those to the next level. Is there anything else you think I should know?
Well, I should probably tell you that I have a history of depression, but it's nothing that I...
Oh, good. Excellent. We're 10 floors up here. Is that going to be okay? Obviously, we won't sit you next to a window. But honestly, don't worry. We're all a bit mad here.
Really, it's fine. I can cope with everything.
I've actually got a nut allergy. No nuts allowed in the building. Present company accepted, obviously.
This man has a problem, but he and many others like him can get help. For a better understanding of mental health issues, visit direct.gov.uk/mental health. So,
hopefully the workplace isn't like that anymore, but that's what a lot of people, and unfortunately that man is in an isolated case. But how can we change that perception? We can change it by coming to conferences like this. We can change it by educating our work team. We can change it by putting mental health champions in the workplace, having well-being activities, having an open door policy, having empathy, showing empathy, having good conversations. But that guy clearly was very, very uneducated. And unfortunately, stigma is still in the workplace. And the reason stigma is still around in the workplace is because of lack of education. People are not educated to realise that mental illness is an illness the same as cancer is an illness, and the same as broken bones are an illness, and other diseases. If someone walked into the workplace and said, I've just been diagnosed with cancer, what would we do? We would show empathy. We would give them hope for recovery. Why can't we do the same with mental illness? Because not you, because you're here, but a lot of people are not educated. They're still showing stigma. They're still showing stigma. And we need to try and get rid of stigma and obviously educate more people. You know, I've got 2 children, and one of my children had anxiety and said, Mum, shall I put it on my application form? I said, no, don't put it on your application form. You're not going to get the job. So that's the situation that we're in at the moment. We can't be truthful because we're scared of rejection. So I want to create a country where people can be truthful and still get the jobs that they deserve, you know, without going with a label into a workplace. So how can we help? How can we stop stigma? By educating your workforce. Like I've been saying, education, education, education. It will help remove stigma by showing staff our support. You know, I'm a manager, there's a few managers in the room. You know, I've had incidents over the years where I've had staff with poor mental health. You know, I've brought counsellors in, we've dealt with it, and they were the most productive staff that were in my team. They were brilliant. Had I given them a label and sent them on the stick, then that would have been no good for them and no good for us as a company. Start well-being conversations. A lot of us don't start the conversations because we don't know what to say. We don't know what to say, so it's easier to say nothing. We need to start conversations with open conversations. We need to not be scared about the word suicide or suicidal thoughts. If someone came up to any of you in the workplace and said, no, I'm not okay today, I've been having suicidal thoughts, would you know what to say next? Some of you yes, some of you no. Some of you are nodding your head, that's great. We need to not be scared of these conversations. Because if someone come up to you and said, I've been having suicidal thoughts, the thoughts are already in their head. So even if you have a conversation, you're not putting more thoughts into their head, they're already there. And if they don't want to die by suicide, they're not going to. What you say is not going to change their mind. We need to provide wellbeing activities in the workplace. I know a lot of organisations now are having Wednesday afternoons for meditation and for yoga. I know Admiral. Anyone from Admiral Insurance here? No? They've got yes, you've got a choir, haven't you? They've got a choir, so well done to Admiral. There's lots of organisations that do weekly quizzes for their staff. You've got a lot of hybrid and home working staff. How do you check in and make sure they're okay? They have coffee afternoons on their laptops with, and quizzes. It's great. These activities we need to be doing more of because we need to check in with our staff. They're checking that they're well, make sure they stay productive. Understanding what help and resources. There are so much help out there. There's so many resources out there. We've got a whole floor underneath with help and resources. I would say, as a manager and as a leader, get your toolkit full. Get all those resources in. Get all the names and the email addresses and the phone numbers of the local charities so you know where to signpost your staff when they come to you with a problem. So make sure your toolkit is full because you can help yourself, you can help others. Know what apps are around. Know what resources. There's tons, there's loads of charities. I recognise some charities in the room today. And also training mental health first aiders. If mental health first aider, it's a full 2-day course and they learn a lot. Everything I know is from going on training courses, either from Mental Health First Aid Wales or suicide prevention courses or other courses. I do a lot of reading. I look at a lot of charities. Anyone here from Dawis Cymru? I know they're exhibiting downstairs. Go and see them. They're an online resource. Every single mental health charity in Wales is on their website. They're absolutely amazing. So it's knowing what to put in your toolkit to help others. So mental health in the workplace. A mental health first aider will offer comfort and support in a crisis. Now, if someone comes to you in crisis in the workplace, we can't just send them home. We don't know if they're going to be safe. We don't know if they're going to hurt themselves. We need to be able to signpost to the right people. And our job as a mental health champion in the workplace might just be a simple sit down, have a chat and a coffee, and offer to phone their GP on their behalf. Because someone who's distraught and has poor mental health, just making that phone call is really difficult for them. But if we made the phone call and passed them the phone, that could be their first step to recovery. So it's just those little measures, having someone to listen to them, having an empathetic ear. They might be getting abuse at home, you don't know. They might be living at home. Loneliness is a massive cause of poor mental health. You might be the only conversation they have all day. So taking time out to listen to others is really important. And active listening as well. It's a taboo subject, but professional help is not always immediate. We know the NHS is overrun. We know we can't get our kids into CAMS without a 3-month, 6-month waiting list. We know the crisis teams are overrun. Do you all know about 111 option 2? Yes? If anyone doesn't know, the NHS 111 is a non-emergency helpline. 111 option 2 is a non-emergency mental health helpline. The NHS have introduced it. Give them this number, put it in your toolkit. So mental health problems are not as frightening as people think. Some people just need to talk, and they need an empathetic, non-judgmental ear when they're talking. So someone with a mental health problem, what they need someone who can listen calmly to their feelings and their fears without judgment. Give some simple information, whether it's mental health charities, whether it's a GP, whether it's resources, calming apps, whether it's mood journals, whether it's breath work, sending them to the local meditation group, suggesting some volunteering. Volunteering is known to be really good to improve your mental health and well-being. So signposting people to appropriate help will improve them, will improve their productivity, and make your company more successful. So the role of the mental health first aider, a lot of people won't go on these courses because they're scared. They're scared that it's too much responsibility. You're just a stopgap. Don't be scared of becoming a mental health champion or a mental health first aider. You know, it's like a normal first aider. You're there, a normal first aider is there for emergency care while the paramedics and the doctors turn up. You're not there to fix hearts and fix bones, broken bones. You're there to give emergency care. And a mental health first aider is the same. You are the go-to person while we can get them to the medical professionals. We need to be able to identify signs and symptoms. And obviously we've identified a load during this talk today. ALGI, those who have been on the mental health first aid course, this is another acronym that we use. Again, physical first aid, we use Dr. ABC, danger response, airway breathing, CPR, circulation. I always say to my students, you remember that, you can treat anyone. This is the same. You remember the acronym ALGI, you'll have the confidence to talk to anyone. What does ALGI stand for? The first A is approach, assist, and ask them if they want to talk. We need to approach, and when we're approaching, make sure there's no interruptions, there's no emails, there's no phone calls, no knocking on the door. Make sure that they know they've got our undivided attention and we are there. And my mother always says we have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. We need to listen more than we can talk, although I do find that quite difficult. And she stood at the back, probably smirking away. Listen non-judgmentally. You might not always like what you hear back. We're not there to judge, we're there to help. We're there to signpost. We are the in-between person. So you might not always like what you're hearing. We need to remember to be non-judgmental. Give support and information. Fill our toolkit in with numbers, with apps, with websites. Encourage them. Encourage them because sometimes they can't get help on their own. They can't get help by staying silent. Encourage them to their GP. Encourage them to go to volunteering groups, local activities, getting a hobby, socialising, maybe starting a journal, maybe downloading apps. And if you haven't been to the New Calm Stand, that's an amazing app that I use. I've got it on my phone. I use the Summer Rain, it's called. It's absolutely amazing. If I'm on a stressful day, I lie down, I put it on my ears, listen to the rain. Simple things save lives, yeah? Encourage other supports. Other supports, I've said, volunteering, joining the workplace choir, go into the local quiz, go into the local dog's home and helping some animals. Dogs are very, very good for therapy. So singing is very good for therapy. So just encouraging other activities. And then you may need to make some workplace adjustments because people who have poor mental health may not cope with what you've got in place. So flexible working, it's not always appropriate, it's not always able to put flexible working places in place. But if you can, that might change somebody's productivity and obviously their mental well-being. Phased return to work after absence. It might be too daunting to come from working 0 hours to 40 hours. So maybe break them in gently. Maybe if you can allow home working, again, that might take their stress levels down a notch or two. Maybe relocating some tasks to other colleagues. That might help them out too. Changing the physical environment. The office might be too noisy, too busy. Maybe move them to a quiet part of the office. Might make them concentrate a bit more. And maybe little things like getting a reserved parking space. You know, some people, if they're driving to the office, they don't know where they're parking their car. They don't know what they're going to do, where the traffic is. Just getting simple things like getting a parking space ready for them will lower their anxiety levels. And that will help. So it's just these little workplace adjustments that we could maybe put in place to help our colleagues in the workplace, and maybe support with workload. So use a non-judgmental approach and think of the body language. Now, when we're talking to someone, they say you should stare at someone for at least 4 seconds for them to know that you're really engaging with them. Don't fold your arms when you're having conversations. Don't sit behind a desk with your computer in the way. Counsellors sit side by side for a reason, yeah? Any counsellors in the room? Yeah? Do you sit side by side with your clients? Face to face. Face to face. You don't have a big desk or a computer in the middle, do you? No. So, you know, make sure you can, when you're having conversations with your staff, make sure that there's no barriers in the way. Your arms are not folded. You're not looking at your watch. You're not facing a window so you can see what's happening outside. They need your undivided attention. And non-confrontable seating, I said that. And being emotionally genuine, showing that you care, showing that you're not having a conversation because you've been told to have a conversation or as part of your job role. Let's show a bit of empathy. Let's show that we care. Let's show compassion. So well-being conversations, a lot of people are scared to start these conversations. They don't know what to say. So we need to become aware of other people's feelings. And you can become aware by knowing the physical, behavioural and emotional signs and symptoms. So now you know what to look out for. Actively look for those symptoms. Actively look and keep checking in with people. Conversation is so important. Keep checking in. Try not to say, are you okay? Because we'll all go, I'm fine. We all know that I'm fine means I'm not okay. But if you do ask that word and you can't think of anything else, that's fine, but just make sure you ask it twice. Because if they come back and they say, I'm fine, we need to make sure that we ask, are you sure? Check in twice. Think about the environment when you're having conversations. I've already said, noisy offices, emails, phones ringing. Have the confidence. Don't ask questions with your eyes down because you don't really want to ask it. Make sure you've got the confidence to ask. I've noticed lately, you're not yourself. Is there anything you'd like to chat about? Should we have a conversation? Should we have a cup of tea, a coffee? A nice, gentle approach. So, open questions, and I've put this on because a lot of us use closed questions and we can't think of open. Think of a sentence using what, when, where, who, I, or tell. Start with those words. Let's start with tell. So tell me, what did you do on the weekend? They're not going to say yes or no to that. They're going to have to answer. I've noticed lately you've not been yourself. Is this something we can, have a chat about? Who? Where? When? What? Start your sentences with these rather than are you okay? Then you're going to get a better response. So keeping the conversation going is really hard. People are scared of pauses. Pauses are actually powerful. Don't be scared of a pause. Don't be scared of a silence. It's probably the person you're talking to, they're probably having time to gather their thoughts. But also, repeat what they're saying to you. So if they say, yes, Dawn, I went to the doctor's yesterday, I would say, oh, so you went to the doctor's yesterday, how did it go? By repeating what they've said is acknowledging that I'm actually listening to them and I'm fully engaged. So again, repeating what they're saying. Open-ended questions, we've said. Briefly summarising what's been said. Prompts, silences. Beware of giving advice. We're not there to advise. We're there to comfort, to support, to signpost. We're not overnight all going to be turned into counsellors. We're not trained. A mental health first aider is not a trained counsellor or physiotherapist, okay, or a doctor. So we don't give advice. We show empathy. We fill our toolkit up and we signpost them to where they need to go. I should have Tracy in the room. Is she here? Not you, the other Tracy. No? Yes, I want to bring Tracy on the stage. So Tracy is a trained counsellor, I'm not. And she's also one of our main sponsors for today. Jim is our other sponsor. Give him a wave, Jim. So Jim actually is the CEO of New Calm, the calming app. He's downstairs. I want you all to go and check him out. But Tracy, I'm going to hand the microphone. The importance of counsellors in the workplace and on what you guys, because I know you work with a lot of people in work with their poor mental health. Yeah. Just spend a couple of minutes telling us and sharing the expert.
So I got into counselling for one reason only, and that was because I was a sufferer from a very young age with anxiety. No reason whatsoever, perfect family upbringing, but I worried. And back when I was growing up, it was get over it. It wasn't even spoken about. And I used to panic thinking, how am I going to go on with my life with this constant worry and fear of just it raining. So I was constantly a worrier, and with that, going forward then, I did actually lose somebody very important to me, 28 years old, male, the happiest person in the workplace ever. He would come into work, he'd smile, he'd laugh, he was the joker, he planned his weekends, and he went home and he committed suicide. And it knocked me for, I can't even tell you, it was awful. And we all go to work and say, if only we'd known. And you know, to be fair, you would never have known because he was smiling and he put on a face. And with that, I thought, how has this happened? And it affected me for so long. And with that, I thought, I'm going to qualify as a counsellor. And it was very hard because I'd done my first year degree within COVID. So as a more mature student, I got into lockdown and I'd done my first year at home, which was very hard. But I'd done it, I qualified, and I enjoyed it. On qualification, I then, with my husband, decided to buy a company known as Chemy's Grange. It's been running for 15 years. We took it over together, and we've been running it successfully since last year. What we do is we offer a counselling service to public and private organisations, and we offer a face-to-face service where we're helping people within counselling. We work with the likes of Gwent Police, Monmouthshire County Council, Torvine Council, Monmouthshire Housing, Citizens Advice Bureau, Velindre, and we offer a service. What we offer that I like to be as different is I don't like anyone to wait. NHS, 20 months waiting list. You can't tell somebody to wait 20 months. If somebody's got a problem, they're not going to wait 20 months. What I like to do and promote within my business is we will offer from referral in 1 week. I will make sure somebody is seen by a qualified counsellor. I've got 10 counsellors working for me at the moment. We are based in Newport and we are looking to open an office in Cardiff. We cover all areas. And what we cover at the moment is face-to-face. We deal with suicide thoughts, anxiety, depression, grief, loss, trauma, PTSD, ADHD, we cover all areas. I'm also qualified with dealing with children, young people and adults as well. And like I said, we want to be there to help people out. If you've got a happy workplace and you look after your staff, then it'll work. But I'm just all about promoting it. I don't just do mental health for 1 week. I know it's Mental Health Awareness Week. What annoys me and gets to me a lot as a counsellor is we get the big push with celebrities when we have mental health week, and you'll get the ITV saying, oh, let's all talk, be quiet, and you get the silence on the adverts, and that lasts one week. You get 1 week of Ant and Dec standing there going, talk. Do you know what? 1 week. 1 week. People suffer all year round, and it's about breaking that stigma, and it's about helping people. Mental health is not 1 week. It's daily. And it's everywhere, and it affects everyone. So it's lovely to be a sponsor, and thank you so much. We are looking at bringing on new offices. We're looking at getting new staff. We've got a lot of work on, and we love what we do. But yeah, if anyone in the workplace wants counselling, what normally happens is they will refer to us. They'll give 6 free sessions. After that, then some people, obviously, I would go back as a counsellor and say these people would benefit from an additional 3. That would be approved. If or not, they would then move over to private. So we offer it for individuals as well. And we don't just do it for the employees, we do it for their families. because what we've noticed with when you're referred by an employee, what they come in with the referral, when I look at it, that's never really the case. You know, it's hard for some people to say to their employee, yes, I'm struggling with this, and when I actually get to the crux of the problem, it's something not what they've come in for, and you've got to get to the root of someone's problem. I've seen people come in that have worked high up within the police, and you get certain men coming in, and when they come in, they're sat with me first of all, and their knees go in, and you can see their body language, and that's what you need with face-to-face. And by the time I've finished, you know, they're a little bit slumped back in their chair, and they're like, right, Trace, when's our next session? And it's brilliant, it's lovely to see, and it's rewarding. So please do pop down and see me, grab a leaflet, and talk and help each other.
Brilliant. Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you.
So we don't get enough counselling services around, and like Tracy said, the NHS is overrun. Unfortunately, it's a bit broken, our system. So we're relying on services like Phillips Wellbeing, and Tracy said 1 week waiting list. You can't compete with that. That is absolutely amazing. So thank you, Tracy. So I'm just going to finish off now, just looking after your own self-care. You're probably doing this anyway, but nutrition, we've got Cardiff Nutrition downstairs. They're actually my food coach as well. I'm under their guidance, and I've got to try and drink, I think it's 3.5 litres a day they've put me on. But diet will play a huge part in our health and well-being. So make sure that you get the nutrition that you need. Activity, again, the NHS will say at least 20 minutes 3 times a week, and good quality sleep, 7 hours a day minimum. If you're going to work tired and your batteries are drained, you can't help anyone if your batteries are not charged. So make sure you're at least 3/4 full before you let everybody burden you with all their stresses. So the 4E approach, something else that I teach, look at the environment, make sure it's safe, make sure you can have conversations without disturbances, effective communication, think of your tone, think of how you speak, think of your eye contact, open body language, make sure you show empathy and you're not just there because of your job, and actively listen, engage, and really, really help someone if they need help. That's the end of my talk. We've got some resources here if you want to take a photograph of here. NHS Direct, remember, 111, option 2. Samaritans are downstairs. No Panic Anxiety UK, 2 great organisations. Mind Cymru are downstairs. You've got Help Me Quit, talk to Frank, Alcoholics Anonymous. I want to end with a quote. I can see the other class coming out. Here's my 10 top tips for having workplace mental health. What will it do? It'll promote a supportive environment. It will increase staff engagement, reduce presenteeism, encourage a healthy workplace, reduce stigma, positive conversations, early interventions, so important, improve employee well-being, improve retention rates, ensures compliance, fosters inclusivity and diversity, and will boost your reputation. You can make sure that you have all this by going to the mental health stand and picking up our leaflets on the quality mark, but this is one of my favourite quotes by Desmond Tutu. There comes a point when we need to just stop pulling people out of a river. We need to go upstream and find out why they're falling in. We need to be proactive, not reactive. That's what that quote is saying. We need to help. You're all being proactive, by the way, because you're here today at the Mental Health Show. The quality mark I have mentioned, I brought this out because I want people who are doing the right thing to be recognised and rewarded. So if your organisation have got all your wellbeing strategies in place and your policies in place, please apply for the Mental Health and Wellbeing Quality Mark. If you've got people who are going above and beyond, please nominate them for one of our awards. Mental Health and Wellbeing Wales Awards are now open for nominations. The awards will happen in the Mercure Hotel on the 9th of October, the day before World Mental Health Day. So please nominate those who are doing good things. Make sure the people get recognition, make sure the companies get recognition, and that is the end from me. So thank you very much. And there's just some information about our courses as well. I'm going to be around for questions. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you.